Hey guys, good morning. It is Thursday, July 22nd, July 21st, Thursday, July 21st. And I'm going to do another vlog today. It seemed like you guys really liked that set that I did a little bit ago, the sort of group of 5 days of vlogging, and have had lots of requests since then to do more vlogs. So I figured I would go ahead and do one today. And it's just going to be kind of a typical Thursday for me. I'm going to be working on a couple of illustrations, one of which will be in a video either next week or the week after, and then also printing and prepping and packing a whole bunch of Etsy orders. The only thing that makes it a little bit atypical this week is that today and tomorrow are kind of my last two work days before I leave on vacation for a little bit. So in addition to doing the stuff that I just mentioned, I'm kind of trying to wrap up loose ends and send remaining invoices and emails and all of that kind of stuff. So I may do some of that today as well, but my kind of two big focus points are going to be the illustrations I'm working on, and then these Etsy orders. So yeah, that's kind of the plan, and you'll just come along with me today. All right, I'm going to go ahead and get started on these illustrations. So I'm just getting ready to start on another layer of this sushi illustration. But before I jump in, I was thinking that I would answer a question or two that I've gotten on Instagram in the past few weeks. One is from Jen K. Draws, and she says, if you have time, could you please give some pointers on what you do with the edges of watercolor paintings? I outline my subjects with black because if I don't, they look naked and unfinished. How do you make your illustrations look so crisp and defined on the edges without outlining? So the short answer to that is that I use more than just watercolor. So I think I've maybe done a couple of illustrations like that tulip one that I did a video on a while ago, and maybe one or two others where I use primarily watercolor, or like 90% watercolor. But for the most part, all of my illustrations are a mix of watercolor or watercolor pencils and colored pencils, and sometimes, like on this one I'm working on, I've even used the water-soluble wax pastels. So using a mix of different media allows me to get more definition and more of that kind of crisp edge that you're talking about, Jen. I know there are some people and even some YouTube artists who do only watercolor. There's one I'm thinking of, I can't remember her name off the top of my head right now, but I will link it in the description. And she has a very, very crisp look and uses exclusively watercolor. So it can be done, but that's not really what I do. So yeah, basically I will usually use watercolor in the earlier phases when things are still kind of up in the air, or where I'm not like totally sure on the details, and then I get clearer and crisper later on with subsequent layers as I add in colored pencil and other things. So I mean, even this piece right now, which already has a few layers of colored pencil, still looks really kind of soft and blurry. But after I'm done, then it'll gradually get more and more crisp kind of from this point. So and then I think like technical things that you can do to avoid outlining, which there's nothing wrong with outlining. If you want to outline, that's a very valid style in and of itself. So don't feel like just because you're outlining, that's a problem. That could just be your style. So I guess with like colored pencils, I will try, and those can even be a media that has a really kind of soft look too. But the way that I use them tends to be to try to get that really crisp edge. And some of that has to do with your color choices as well. Like if you have, this is going to be harder right here to get a crisp edge on because it's going to be a white background, and the rice itself is white. So even though it doesn't exist in the reference that I'm using in real life, I'm probably going to add like a little shadow back here just to kind of help differentiate between these two whites, because they're really hard to see the difference between otherwise. Yeah, so I guess that's kind of my thoughts on getting the crisp edges with watercolor. And I had one other question from Albino Hair just asking me to talk about signatures and how I sign my work and why I do it that way. And it's pretty simple. Basically, if I'm signing an original or if I'm signing a print, I will sign my name in pencil in the lower right-hand corner. And the reason I do it in pencil is just because I read something somewhere once about like how if you're pressing with a pencil, it actually makes kind of an indentation in the paper as opposed to a pen. So it's harder to fake a pencil signature, basically. And I also just like that it has kind of a softer look than a pen signature. And I put it in the lower right-hand corner just because, I don't know, it's kind of a standard place to put it. And then if I'm doing a numbered edition of prints, I'll put the numbers in the left-hand corner, and then we'll usually date the back as well. If it's if I'm like prepping a file, just a JPEG or something that I'm going to share online, then I tend to do a signature. I add it electronically, and I tend to do it as close as I can to the subject. And that's just because it makes it harder for people to crop out the credit and claim it as their own work, which sadly happens quite a bit. So, and still, even with putting a signature kind of close to the edge of the subject, there's still the possibility that somebody can, anybody with even a little bit of Photoshop skills could get that removed, could take the signature out. But it does make it just a little bit harder. So, and some people I know will put the signature like directly over the image, kind of like a watermark, and I just hate how that looks. So, I've never wanted to do that, never really done that. And those are my thoughts on signatures. All right, so I am done drawing for now. I worked on these two pieces. This one I think is going to be finished, and there'll be a video about it, I think a week from tomorrow, so a week from today for you guys when you're seeing it. And then this one I worked on as well, which is not all the way done yet, but came along pretty far. And I also worked on this piece, which you guys didn't really see me working on, but spent a little bit of time on this today. I had the sketch in the background, just the wash of watercolor already done, and today I added just kind of this first pass with the colored pencil. So it's really rough, as you can see, but just kind of going over to lay down some of the major planes and areas of color, and then I'll do some blending out with Gamsol and lots more layers to come. So now that I am all done with that, I'm going to move on to prepping and packing the Etsy orders. So you saw me cleaning down my drafting table because it does get pretty messy when I'm working, and I try to keep it like completely pristine for when I put prints on it. So yeah, I'm going to get started on that. Okay, so it's about 6:15, and I think I have finished what I will be able to get to before dinner, and then we're meeting up with some friends later. I may do some more emailing and stuff after we get back, but I think I'm going to go ahead and wrap up the vlog here. And I think I mentioned earlier that I'm going to be on vacation starting on Monday. but there will still be a new video for you guys next week and the week after that, and of course the week after that once I'm back. So keep checking back on Fridays, and if you're new and you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe. I do new videos every Friday. Yes, that's it. I hope you guys are having a great day, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.